Thank you for your patience. Welcome back, everyone. Now we'd like to start the afternoon program. The next program will be Session 3, Inclusive and Just. First, we'd like to invite our panelist and moderator. This session will be moderated by Ms. Marie-Christine, Chairperson of Tokyo Metropolitan Foundation, Tsunagari. And here are the panelists. From Tokyo, Mr. Tsutomu Ushioda, Vice Governor of Tokyo. And from Amsterdam, Ms. Femke Halsema, Mayor of Amsterdam. From Brussels, Mr. Rudy Verbolst, Minister President of the Brussels Capital Region. From São Paulo, Ms. Marta Splici, Secretary of Foreign Affairs. And from Singapore, Mr. Alex Yam, Mayor of Northwest Community Development Council. Welcome to the Session 3, everyone. So let's start this Session 3. Over to you, Ms. Marie-Christine-san.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming to the afternoon session. I think some of you might be a bit sleepy because of your lunch. Today we have a very interesting presentation, and I hope that you will enjoy it. I would like to introduce myself first. My name is Marie-Christine. I work in intercultural communication, and also I have an ME in engineering, and so I work with community design and urban design as well. I am the chairperson for the Tokyo Metropolitan Foundation called Tsunagari. Many I've spoken with yesterday probably know it, so it will be a bit of a repeat. But the foundation has two major objectives. The first is to create an intercultural society where various people can live with the peace of mind. And the second objective is to create a mutual assistance society where people can help each other. Many volunteers played active roles at the Tokyo 2020 Games. And after the Games, the governor, Koike, she wanted to harness the energy of all of the volunteers. We had over 34,000 volunteers. And in our foundation, we have found that over 8,000 of them have registered to be supporting of this foundation. And so we try to connect the different communities in Tokyo that are in need of volunteers. As you know, many of your cities also have an aging society where they are very enthusiastic, but physically it's very difficult for them to participate in their communities. And so this is how we support them. And so without further ado, I would like to start with the first presentation. The Deputy Governor Ushioda will be speaking with us first.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Tsutomu Ushioda, Vice Governor of Tokyo.
So let me explain about what the Tokyo Metropolitan Government is aiming for, inclusiveness. As for the social inclusion, Tokyo 2020 Olympic and Paralympics was a good starting point. It was a harmony and in unity. So without any age or race or any other factors, many people participated. So it was a stage to realize the symbiotic society. Before the Games in 2018, the Tokyo Metropolitan Government had enacted the Tokyo Metropolitan Ordinance for the realization of the philosophy of respect for human rights as stated in the Tokyo Olympic Charter. And in November last year, the Tokyo Metropolitan Partnership Pledge System was put into operation. And together with that, in the infrastructure of Tokyo, and thanks to Tokyo 2020, we have planned for the universal design. Please look at the graph at the bottom. As for the underground, the home platform doors had been established, and the establishment rate, installation rate is about 85.5%. So the city had made progress in improving the environment on all fronts, especially around the competition venues. And various positive changes are appearing in the city to make public spaces and transportation easier to use. After the Games, the legacy of unity in diversity is steadily taking root in society, the city, and its people. And in 2025, Tokyo will host the World Championships in Athletics and the Deaflympics, a comprehensive international competition of deaf athletes. The 2025 Deaflympics will promote interaction among diverse people, further promote Paralympic sports, and create opportunities to enjoy sports regardless of disability. At the same time, universal communication will be promoted through efforts to popularizing sign language and the use of digital technology, which is evolving daily. So, in all aspects, we are aiming to create a society free of barriers in every aspect through such efforts, aiming to build a future where people shine and realize an inclusive city. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we will hear from the mayor of Amsterdam. And I had forgotten to put in that our session is on realizing a just and sustainable society with an eye to a post-COVID world. Excuse me. So, Madam Mayor, may I ask you to please give your presentation?
Yes, you may. Thank you very much. And let me start by thanking Governor Koike, again, as many others did, for hosting this important summit. At this time of geopolitical tensions, it may seem that cities matter less, as the future is in part determined by the outcome of the ongoing war in Europe and in the longer term, shifting relations between great powers at the Asia-Pacific region. But I believe that cities, especially in these difficult times, can be and should be beacons of freedom, of social and economical change, and be at the forefront of sustainable development. I think proof can be found in the history of cities, as for instance in Amsterdam. In 2025, the city celebrates its 750th birthday. And during its long history, although there are, of course, black pages, the city has been a safe haven for international freethinkers, dissidents, and minorities seeking political and religious refuge. And its openness and tolerance has always been the force behind social innovation and economic prosperity. And although I'm very proud of Amsterdam, as you might have guessed, I don't want to turn away from the problems we also face. And I name 3 problems and I give you 3 solutions. 1, due to inflation, rising energy prices, housing and food prices, poverty increases, as in many of your cities probably. And with it also segregation, deprivation and discrimination. And we also see an increase in mental problems, especially among underprivileged young people. 2, deprivation concentrates in migrant groups in the poorest parts of town. This fuels extremist populism and creates harsh cultural divisions that are a threat to social peace, so tolerance itself comes under attack. 3, last but not least, the national and local government itself is a problem, treating its citizens, and especially the most vulnerable, with distrust. If you distrust your inhabitants, you will get indifference in return. People are then not prepared to commit themselves to the social change that is needed so much. And it goes without saying that the answer lies in strong public institutions and social investments, but it is not enough. To tackle these problems, and you also need to really invest in the empowerment of the most vulnerable and in restoring trust by trusting citizens and giving them co-ownership in the development of cities. Let me give you 3 examples and then I finish. Especially in the poor areas of town, we started with community wealth building. It means we give back economic and social autonomy to neighborhoods by investing in small local companies that are founded by the inhabitants themselves. Second, in the same poor areas, we started community courts. The judges there know the inhabitants and not only pass judgments, for instance, on crime, but also help with debts, domestic violence, etc. And this means the residents also see the protection of the rule of law up close. Third, lastly, we are developing digital commons with companies, social organizations, and universities. This means that the data of Amsterdam residents are better protected from commercial dominance, and they have more to say in how they are used. And we seek cooperation with like-minded cities based on our shared values of openness, privacy, and individual autonomy. Amsterdam, for instance, is co-founder of the Cities Coalition of Digital Rights, together with New York and Barcelona. To conclude, in this time of international crisis, cities face problems, but are part of the social, cities face problems, but also are part of the social, sustainable, and just solutions. And it is therefore that the GNET Summit course comes at an excellent time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Madame Mayor Halsema. And we would like to continue with Mr. Minister President Verwoerd.
I think that Brussels.
Brussels comes with a different point of view. Listen, maybe we're not the perfect city for everyone, but to those who dare our rain or shine, exploring our many paths so divine, tearing things apart so they can build anew, to those who dare to smile, make a joke, take a joke, be a joke, to those wearing the many hats, as cool as cats, the club rat, the winner, the weirdo, to those walking the no labels walk down our streets, to those who seamlessly blend in while simultaneously standing out, reinventing where originators left en route, embracing their fellow neighbor, embracing the oh la las and the oh no nos, embracing the fertile grounds to grow from the ground up, going, flowing, showing what life looks like when you swing it around. Again and encore and altijd. To those who dare embrace their perfectly imperfect selves and simply be. Be a Brusseler. Be a Bruxellois. Be a Bruxelaar.
So Brussels is a perfect, imperfect region of Belgium. It's the capital of Belgium, but it is also the capital of Europe, and it's one of the most culturally diverse cities in the world. Its geographical position, the presence of the European institutions, the NATO, and the multitude of other international organizations have had an undeniable impact on Brussels and contribute enormously to the cosmopolitan, multicultural character of the capital. However, diversity alone does not guarantee inclusion. Inclusion means creating an environment where everyone feels valued, respected, and supported. That is why the Brussels government applies the principle of mainstreaming of equal opportunities to its public policies. Various studies and analyses shows that women have been particularly affected by the health crisis and its consequences, and that it may have been a factor of reinforcing inequalities already present before the crisis. In a tense geopolitical, health and energy context, discrimination is on the rise. The Brussels region implemented 6 strong action plans to support the groups identified as being the most affected in Brussels and requiring specific political action for a structural transformation of public policies, combating violence against women, supporting single parents, inclusion of the LGBTQIA+, action against racism, the plan for equality between women and men, gender mainstreaming, and the disability mainstreaming plan. Brussels also invests a lot in cultural programs and initiatives that create opportunities for people from all backgrounds to come together and learn from each other. Art has the power to bring people together, foster inclusion, and break down barriers. To conclude, I would like to say that equal opportunities is not only a moral imperative, it also leads to innovation, creativity, economic growth, and well-being. Inclusion creates a sense of belonging and cultivates social cohesion, which is essential for building resilient communities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you very much for the concise presentation. So next, we would like to have Madame Suplicy from Brazil to give us, she's the Secretary of Foreign Affairs.
First, I'd like to thank the Tokyo Metropolitan Government for receiving us and for good. Thank you. Hello, sorry. First, I would like to thank the Tokyo Metropolitan Government for receiving us and for coordinating this summit, which help us to design the future we aim for in our cities. As a global city, São Paulo has a strong presence of diversity in its daily life, a characteristic that allows building a plural city and an accessible, democratic, and inclusive territory. São Paulo's planning and management commitments include, as one of its main axes, the construction of a just and inclusive city, guided in the development of people care, the investment for a more equitable city of rights, where active citizenship and the promotion of parity of opportunities are effective, mainly in an economic crisis exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic. Among the strategic goals, we have poverty reduction and expansion of the access to rights of the most vulnerable population, assurance of full health care, broadening the territorial coverage of the service, focusing on services by gender, race, and life cycle, expansion of the respect, diversity, and promotion of fairness of opportunities. Currently, we have the largest social assistance network in Latin America, with more than 20,000 reception spaces and the capacity and planning to care for almost 32,000 homeless people. In total, there were 45 services to care for the homeless population opened only in the last 12 months. We also created the special welcome centers aimed at a wide range of audience: women in situations of violence, pregnant women, mothers and babies, and the elderly, as well as transgender men and women, people in convalescence, and immigrants in a care policy to diversity in all its forms. It's very important to engage society on our projects. Governing together with society makes the journey more assertive and egalitarian and productive. Effective solutions are created from ideas and dialogue with various sectors of society. Our work focuses on autonomy and social development as a way out to independent and dignified life. We cannot close our eyes in the face of children, young people, women, Black people, the poor, and the elderly, who live in precarious conditions and are victims of historical injustice of our society. the City Hall takes pragmatic actions to solve such complex challenges. We will spare no efforts to change this reality. Bring here with, I think I have some examples that to be for the next part of the session, right? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam. So everyone is being very polite and finishing their speeches at the correct time. So now, Mayor Yam, may we ask you from Singapore to speak about
Thank you very much. I think for all of us in this room, the fact that just 2 years ago, this is a scene in Singapore. The streets were empty, businesses were affected, and of course, many of our country's citizens' lives were affected by COVID-19. And today we're talking about an inclusive and just society post-pandemic. We're a small country, and I'm mayor of the Northwest District of Singapore. And during COVID, we had to grapple with many challenges as a country. We're a country of zero resources. Everything that we have is imported. We only have our people as our key resource. So we felt that it was necessary during COVID to support the most vulnerable in our society. So in June 2020, very soon after the pandemic was declared, the 5 mayors who formed the Mayors Committee in Singapore were tasked to see how we can help citizens address some of the cost of living issues. So in June 2020, we took the lead to issue $100 to 400,000 families who were affected badly by the pandemic. Now, these were easy to distribute. They just needed to be printed and issued to needy families, and they could use it at various businesses. But there were some problems. First of all, this was during the pandemic, and if you have things that you were passing around, there was a risk of spreading the virus. Secondly, for our merchants who really depend on immediate cash flow, the voucher system meant that they had to wait up to a week before they could be reimbursed, because they had to bring the vouchers to a station, needed to be counted for it to be distributed to their bank accounts. So in 2021, the government did 2 things. It decided that this was a scheme that we wanted to distribute to every single family in Singapore, every single family, not just needy families, for 3 reasons. First of all, to help our businesses, which were badly affected by the pandemic. Secondly, to help families who are affected by cost of living. And thirdly, also to thank every Singaporean for helping stay the course and to prevent more deaths and the spread of the virus. Now, it's easy to distribute to 400,000 households. How do you print vouchers for 1.3 million households? And therefore, I chaired the first meeting to explore introducing the vouchers in a digital form. We brought together various government agencies, and we found a breakthrough through a website and an app to allow every family to download the vouchers and use them digitally, so that you had less physical interaction, and also importantly for our merchants, they are paid by the end of the day because it's linked directly to their bank accounts. Further on, we decided that we should expand on it. So we've had 5 budgets passed during the pandemic itself. And last year, we decided we would expand it beyond our heartland shops. We refer to heartland shops as some of your mom and pop shops in the constituencies in the heartlands, depending on local residents for business. So we've expanded it to over 260,000 merchants, including supermarket chains, $300 per family. And therefore, we had to find another way to segregate the vouchers between heartland merchants as well as our supermarkets. And I think we're very thankful to the team at our Government Technology Agency for being able to work on this very quickly. So currently, the system is designed to be easy in a number of ways. Easy to claim your vouchers, easy to share it with your family, easy to use it, and easy for the merchants to get their reimbursement so that no one is left behind. It's easy to use, it's online, but of course the worry is that we talked about inclusiveness. How about those who are not digital natives, older citizens? How do we bring them on board? So we had an entire whole of society and whole of government exercise, mobilizing digital ambassadors, Silver Infocom ambassadors, student leaders to go out into the community and reach out to elders and those who did not have access to digital services. So we had, as an example here, we had a workshop for elders conducted by our digital ambassadors, teaching them how to access the app. We had students going around to our merchants to educate them on the introduction of the system. And we also had learning journeys. Elders who didn't know how to use the vouchers could be taken on a tour of their town so that they could learn how to use it. And we're going to take this further because 2024, we'll introduce another round of digital vouchers. As of today, 98.7% of all the digital vouchers issued have been claimed, and 96% has been spent. So that's about 228 million spent to support our local businesses. And so today, business is back, crowds are back, life is back to normal. And of course, we hope that after enjoying the sights and sounds of Tokyo, that you would also make a trip to Singapore and enjoy the sights and sounds of Singapore as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mayor Yam. And thank you for promoting Singapore. So now we've made one round. If anyone would like to make a comment on the other participants' presentation, could I ask you to please pick up something that you thought interesting or something that you could do with your own country that the other participants are also doing?
I would like to tell some examples of São Paulo that I haven't talked about.
Yes, please do.
Okay. We have a program called Reunion Program of Social Assistance and Human Rights offered to homeless people. And structured around 3 axes: strengthening of the support work, offering temporary housing, supporting the recovery of autonomy through professional training and search for jobs. Another one, still in the scope of housing access, São Paulo City Hall, through the program of social housing, aims to offer definitive habitation to low-income families with proper conditions of livability. Adequate housing has direct results for the families, mainly for children and elderly people. Another specific program that we promote is the fight against the structural racism in the city of São Paulo, with actions of anti-racist education and awareness, such as the Black Consciousness Expo, that gathered more than 18,000 people in its second edition last year, promoting visibility, culture, and public policies. We understand that it's essential to overcome racism, inequality, and poverty, which have structural features for us, and structural features of gender, race, age, territory, in order to effectively achieve cities and societies that are just and inclusive. The existing breach between the center and the outskirts of our city are remarkable, but are being reduced by improving mobility, employment, education, and housing. And the program of urbanization of slums developed by the City Hall focuses on the urbanization of degraded areas, unordered, unoccupied, and without proper infrastructure, also comprising irregular and precarious settlements. The objective is to transform slums and irregular settlements into neighborhoods, ensuring to its inhabitants the access to the formal city service and infrastructure, pavement, sewage, lighting, culture, leisure, health, education, security, and other public service. Those are only a few of several public policies that are being implemented in São Paulo. I invite you to know more about our city and policies. We are open, willing to share our experience. But last but not least, we wish for our cities to flourish and to keep life viable in urban centers. We have the obligation to preserve our natural environment. In this sense, the Amazon plays a vital role, not only for Brazil, but the entire world. And we can also finally say that under the new president, Lula, Brazil is back. Back to the table, back to multilateralism, back to the global agenda. Climate justice and social inclusion are once again at the top of our government priorities, and that means a lot, both locally and globally. I finish this presentation thanking you for all of your attention, and I hope that this meeting may improve the work to do in our cities. Count on us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And so I would like to continue. Could I ask the mayor of Amsterdam? There's so much disparity between countries as well as cities, and within the cities as well. And the way that Singapore was working on using digital means, Japan also, we were also doing digital, vouchers, etc. And I would like to afterwards ask the deputy governor about what we were doing in Tokyo. But could we have some of your thoughts on the different presentations today of what you have heard from the other leaders of their cities?
Well, thank you very much. I think to us, one of the big shocks in the COVID period, as you described so beautifully, was that we discovered that the poorest people in town not only had better entrance to education, but they also lacked, for instance, hardware. So they didn't have computers at home. They didn't have the places where they could study. So one of the things we did immediately after COVID started and the schools were closed, we spread out refurbished computers all through town. And as the mayor of Singapore is describing, we also looked for ways, some form of basic income, as you describe it. And I was very curious if you make it more permanent or if it was just a temporarily measure, because it's also, well, it is a new way of creating a social welfare state that creates security for your complete population. We also tried to do that during COVID, but one of the other problems we faced was that in our city, in Amsterdam, much more people were illegal than we thought they were. And they were deprived of everything, and it was very difficult to get close to them, to give them the social security they really needed. So those are some thoughts.
Thank you. Please.
Thank you very much. In Singapore, we had that same experience when we introduced assistance during COVID-19, that there were families, children, elders who had no access to equipment, to Wi-Fi, to data. So we introduced a couple of additional schemes to help them with that. We have a long-running program called New PC. So families that really couldn't afford a laptop, the government would provide you with a heavy subsidy. You just had to pay a very small sum. Data, we work with our telcos to provide very low cost, $8 a month for families to utilize data, to utilize the Wi-Fi. So I think COVID, while it was quite difficult for all of our cities and all of our citizens, it actually drove us to do more things quicker. Digital inclusivity was something that we had spoken about for many years, but COVID, because we were all locked at home, we had to really accelerate that process. And I think that drove us to do things better, faster, and more inclusive.
Yes. And how Vice Deputy Governor Shioda, how was it in Tokyo?
日本でもですね、今お
In
話ありました
Japan,
よ
it's the same.
うに、い
We
くつかの取り組みをしております。子
doing
供に向けて
several
は
things
やはり
for children.
パソコンがなか
Some
なか入手ができない
It is
そういった
very difficult
家庭も
for
ご家
to
庭もあります。
acquire
そう
personal
いった中で
computers.
それらが皆さん、
So under
同じよう
the
にですね、
circumstances,
テレでもって
to
教育
receive
が受け
the
られるという
education,
環境をこの
and
コロ
during
ナ
the
禍におい
COVID,
て
we have conducted
実施いた
such
しました。
measures.
それ
And
から
also,
先ほど
Mr.
アレクス
Alexian
ヤ
had
ンさん
mentioned
の方
in
でシン
Singapore,
ガポールでの
it's
素晴らしい
a fabulous
デジタル
digital
クーポ
coupon
ン
voucher
バウチャ
system.
ーのお話がございました。
And as for
我々も
Tokyo,
そう
we
いった取り
think
組
that
みが
those
非常に大
measures
事だ
are
と
very
思
important.
っておりまして、
And under the
その中で
circumstances,
特に
especially in
東京の
Tokyo,
状況で申しますと、
can I have the next slide, if possible? The next one,
この
please.
次
Yes.
のスライドをお願いします。
In Japan,
日本の場合、
in Tokyo,
東京においては
as
高
for the
齢者
aging
に関す
people,
る施策
we have
の
many
一つとして
policies, and
ですね、
amongst that,
現在東京都の
for
65歳
the
人口
we have more than
312万人おります。
million
実に人
people
口
who
の
are over the
20% を超えている
years
状
or older.
況でございまして、
So
東京
Tokyo
は
is
超
a
高齢社
super
会
aging
を
society,
突
one
入
might
してい
say.
るというところであります。
And in
2035
2035,
年には都
one
民
out
の
of
4
four
人に1人
people
が
would be
高
the
齢
aging
者にな
people
って
in
いくと
Tokyo.
いうふうに言われておって
So
世
amongst
界
the
で
world,
最も
we
高
are
齢
the
化が進ん
really
だ
aging
都市であり
society.
ます。
And
そ
so
こで東京では
we are
人生100
saying
年時
that
代を
we should be
備えて
prepared
です
for the
ね、
100-year
いくつになっても元気で
aging
豊かな
society. So in
豊か
order
に暮
to
らせ
live
る地域づ
prosperously
くり、
and happily,
一人一人
and
の
in
希望に
order
沿
to
え
be
る
compassionate to those
社会、
people,
こういった
we are trying
環境
to
整
come
備を
up with
進めてい
measures.
るところであります。この絵に
And in the
今
photo
写真に
which
ご
you
ざ
are
います
seeing
のが
now,
ですね、
especially amongst the elderly
先
people,
ほどのバウチャー
as for the
とかそういったものが
vouchers, it
なかなか
is quite difficult
ま
for
だ
them
難しい
to
状
actually
況の
handle.
中で
So by
デ
using
ジタルを
digital,
活用した高齢者
the
の
aging
クオリテ
people's
ィオブライ
quality
フ
of life's
こういった
improvement
向
is
上にも
necessary, and we are
取り組ん
providing
でおりま
such
す。
measures.
先ほどもお話がございまし
So
たけれども、
your
非常に
talk
参
I
考
have
に
heard
なる取
recently
り
is
組み
very,
だと
very
私
useful
た
for
ちも
us.
思って
For
おりま
us.
す。私ども東京都の方ではですね、デジタル
Those
機器に不
people who
慣
are
れな
unfamiliar with
高齢者向
digital
けのスマートフォン
smartphones,
教室、
we are
そういった
providing
ものを
lessons for
使い
those
まし
aged
て、
people.
デ
So
ジタルデバイ
we
ト
are
対
trying
策
to
を
overcome
や
this
ってお
digital
りま
divide
す。
issue.
それ
And
以外にも
besides
ですね、
that,
分
we
身ロ
do
ボ
have
ット
this
を活用し
alter
た
ego
タスクシェアな
robots
ど、
to be
介護
used
現
in
場
the
における
nursing care
DX を推進
area.
していくこととしています。それから
And also
一つ前
the
の
previous
スライド
slide,
に
please.
戻していた
Yes.
だけますでしょうか。先ほどの
Through
パソコ
using
ン
the
を通
personal
じた
computer
教
and besides
育
the
以外にも
education,
ですね、実際に今は
we do have
対面
this
での教育というのがで
in-class
きるようになりましたので、
activities. So
これは
this
東
is
京
the
都の
Tokyo
都立大
Metropolitan
学でござい
University
ますけれども、生
conducting
涯
a
学べる100
class
歳大学というふうに称しまして、首都東京フィールド
the
に学ぶと
100-year
いう
life
ことをテ
period,
ーマにして、
bearing in mind.
高齢者への
And
独
we
自
do
の
have
カリ
this
キュラム
original
を提供
curriculum
して
for
おりま
those
す。
people.
就業
And
支援
as
の
for
取り
the
組みでは、
work-related
来年度、
activities,
東京では
next fiscal
1
year,
年なん
our
ですけれ
fiscal
ど
year starts in
4 月
April.
からになってますけれども、
From next
来
year,
年度から知見を
by
知見だとか
utilizing
経
the
験を有するシニアが
experience of the
セカン
aged
ドキャリ
people,
ア
and
に
through
おいて
those second
円滑に
career,
適用できるよう
we
に
are
マイン
trying
ドチェンジ
to
を促す短期
offer
集中プ
an
ログラムを
intensive course
実施すること
aimed
と
at mind
しております。
changing
ご参考にしていただけれ
aspect.
ばと。
So thank you very much indeed.
ありがとうございます。Thank you very much. Then may I also ask Minister Verwoerd, I loved your presentation of the video, the CD of perfection in imperfection. And may we also have your comments on what you have heard today with the other cities, the different
Yes,
cities.
but we spoke about the COVID crisis, and we had in all the cities of the world to face the same problems. In the popular part of the cities, the social fracture, the difference were more apparently, but they were there. It was not a surprise, but we had to face other problems. And I think, and I want to speak about culture, because I'm sure that we also need now that we hope it's COVID is not the end, but we have better way to face the situation, and I think we have to promote and to defend long-term project, to have the line of the horizon, and to say, our citizens, we can go together with inclusion, and art is for me, in my point of view, a form of inclusion. And so we are defending a project. It is Brussels 2030. We like to become the European capital of culture in 2030. In order to achieve that, we initiated this project. So for this project, we initiate a roadmap to becoming the European capital of culture. And Brussels 2030 doesn't want to be just a calendar of event programming in cultural institutions. It aims to be a participative, inclusive project of all Brusselians, a real urban project in which culture is the driving force. And the search for this cohesion is based on three approaches. First of all, the Brussels 2030 project requires a narrative which tells the story of Brussels and describes it as a cosmopolitan city through different languages, communities, religion, nationalities. We have more than 180 different nationalities in Brussels. And so we can create a collective imagination. Such a collective imagination must also manage to integrate the territory of the city. A regional development plan has linked spatial planning to the necessary ecological and socio-economic transitions. However, culture and the collective imagination must also be included in this, especially as many inhabitants of Brussels feel connected to the city through their immediate neighborhood. But for this all to happen, the population in all its strata, and especially young people, because in Brussels, 40% of the Brussels population is younger than 30 years. They must be actively involved in this project, perceiving it as a major attractive urban project. And the program Co-Creating Brussels Together is a participation and co-construction process that has a special focus on the inhabitants of Brussels under the age of 30. One of the projects in this program is called This Is Us, by means of interview with hundreds of Brussels in relation to the neighborhoods in which they live. A reflection and archive is being formed that represents Brussels. The project This Is Us aims to make Brussels and its people more visible, to record and unlock their stories and their expectations, and to use them to build new alliances and thus create more inclusions. That's our project, More Inclusion.
Thank you very much. Well, 2030 is the goal for the achievement of the SDGs as well. So perhaps you are targeting toward that as well. One thing that Mayor Yam was saying, which remained in my thoughts, is the illegal, you found that there were very many illegal people, and how were you going to distribute these vouchers, and how were you going to care for the people who were not properly registered in your cities? And I think this is a problem with many of our cities, but how do you, even though they are not taxpayers, how do you care for the vulnerable, and how do you care for the people that do not have access to all of these support systems?
Thank you very much. I think the point was raised by the Honourable Mayor for Amsterdam. For Singapore, we don't have that large a problem with illegals, but what we do have is those that live sort of multiple households, families living within one household. So that's where our ambassadors, as well as our community volunteers, come into play. They would be able to approach these families, and we can very easily issue additional vouchers to them. So we are prepared for that, and we've catered budget for it. But you're right. What we've provided won't solve all the problems in the world. But what we are trying to do is to spur consumption so that those who are in business will be able to continue, and at the same time provide employment for people who need employment. So it's a cycle that we're looking at. We're not just giving a handout, we're providing something that will circulate within the economy and therefore drive all the industries, drive employment, keep unemployment low, and then create additional value to the entire economic cycle.
Madam Mayor, what do you think of the topic that we are discussing now?
Well, I think segregation, especially when it also is about your legal position, is one of the biggest problems in modern cities. Because I think in every big city, and Amsterdam is not the biggest city, although we act as if we're very big, but in all big cities, there is a part of your population that has no rights. And it very often also comes from migrant groups that are already very vulnerable. For instance, years ago, a plane crashed on one of the poorest parts of town in Amsterdam. And many people were killed. And then we discovered that probably the official number of people killed really didn't reflect the real number of. But so we encouraged people to come forward, and we promised them to have a legal. And then thousands of people came because everybody wanted to have. So what do you do? And this is just an example, but I think every city has all those. We try to give people the basic rights, and it means having a roof, having some form of food distribution coming your way. But if you there is something cynical about it, because if you create too much security, people from all over the country come to your city, and the problem grows. So that's also probably a problem in Sao Paulo and in Singapore. So it is a wicked problem. And I think one of the best solutions is in legalizing now and then those groups, because you have to accept people are there to stay, and people won't go away, and they only raise children that are that lack perspective if you do not do something about their legal status.
Thank you very much. May I ask how Brussels would handle this situation, other than culture?
In the same way.
Yes, in the same way. Yes.
We have now an immigration crisis in Brussels. You can see the pictures so we have to face that. And we know those people are in Brussels for years, and for some of them they are for years in Brussels. And so you have to give a future, because otherwise you only create angry, and that's not my way to build a society, a common society, to promote cohesion. If you do segregate policy, and we know Europe is a part of the world where immigration always exists. We're not. Yes, we are not an island. So, and now we have to face the Ukrainian war with Ukrainians who are coming also in Belgium. Most of them are in Poland and other countries, but we also have, I'm sure in Amsterdam too, Ukrainians family who are coming, especially women and children who are living in Belgium, in Brussels. And we know that some of them will stay in Belgium. That's always the case. So we have no choice. We have to find solutions.
Thank you very much. The topic is inclusive and just, and so may I ask how Sao Paulo is?
Yeah, we have 30,000 people on the streets. And the main thing that's been doing right now is constructing home for the people, because that's the main security that persons want. And when you build a family and raise your children, and priority for women, solo women without men, and later families. And it's huge, because when you start diminishing the number, Brazil has the north of Brazil, which is very poor, people get to know that São Paulo is doing that. So people from the Northeast come, but also people from other cities around São Paulo. So you do, and the number never diminishes. And you cannot have a passport, so if they are there, they have to be taken care of. So it's a continuous program, but we know that's be like that. So we have the money and we have the means to do it, try to do it.
Thank you very much. As everyone must know, Japan is an island country, so our borders are surrounded by water, and so the wave of the problems that you have at the moment, or the challenges that you have that you are addressing, is a bit, how do you say, time-lagged coming to Japan. But in the future, we ourselves in Tokyo, especially in Tokyo, because we have such a growing population, we are facing similar problems, but in different ways. Could the Deputy Governor speak a little bit about that?
ありがとうございます。
Thank you very much.
今お話ありました
As
よ
you
う
have
に、日本の場合
mentioned, we are an
島
island
国で、
country,
なお
and
かつ
also
私も今、
I
皆さ
myself
んと
talking
お話
with
しするとき
you,
に、
I am not
英語で
speaking
ない
in
の
English,
でです
so we
ね、
do have this
言葉
language
の
issue
問
as
題
well.
というです
So
ね、
that's
大前提があります。
Proposition.
で、今、
And
日
in
本において
Japan,
は、
as for the
東
Tokyo
京都では2つ
metropolitan
のアプロ
government,
ー
we
チ
are coming
が
up
ある
with
と
two
思うんですけ
approaches.
れども、
First one is,
一つはやはり私どもも何十年も
as for the
小学校、中学校、
many,
大
many
学
years
と
we
ですね、
have spent at educational
英
field,
語の
and we
勉強
have
をして
studied
も
English, but
いまだ
yet
に
we cannot speak
十分に
fluently
喋る
in
ことがで
English.
きない。
We do
読み書きは
understand
できて
reading
も
and
喋
writing
る
in
ことが
English, but not
なかなか
necessarily
できないという
speaking. So that's the
状況があ
situation.
りますの
So
で、それを今
in
東
Tokyo,
京において
we are
は
trying to
改
improve
善
that
をしていこうという
situation.
ことで、東京の
And as for the
英語教育
education of
をで
English
すね、
in
基
Tokyo,
本的に
we are
きち
basically
んと
trying
喋れる
to
英語
aim for the
皆さん
students to
と
be
です
able
ね、
to speak
こういっ
and
た場でもコミュニ
communicate
ケーショ
in
ンでき
places
る
like
よう
this situation.
に変えていこ
So
うと
that's
いう
the
のが
first
一つ
item.
です。
And
それから
on the other
一方
hand,
で教育
as for the
の
educational
現場では
field,
ですね、やはり日
there
本語
are
を母語と
students
しない
who does
子
not
ども
have
の子
Japanese
が
as
子
their
ども
mother
たちが非常
tongue.
に増えている状況
And
も
those number of
一
students
方
are
でございます。
increasing.
で、そ
So
こに
on
つきま
that
しても
matter, in Tokyo,
東京都ではそういった
for those
日本語以外の
non-Japanese
言
speakers,
葉での教育現場で
what can we
子どもたち
do
が
for those
困ら
students?
ないようにですね、
How can we make
そうい
those
ったサ
students
ポートをしていこ
comfortable?
うと
What
い
kind
う
of
ア
support
プロ
can
ー
we
チで
do?
今
So we are trying to
改
improve
善を
on
してい
that
きたい
matter
という
as
ことで、
well. So
来
next
年度さ
fiscal
らに
year,
その
we
取
would
り
like
組
to
みを拡充して
expand
いくと
even
いう
further.
取り組みをやっているところであります。皆様方ですね、
Today you have
様
explained
々な
various
取り組みも
measures you have
今後参考にして
already
いきたい
been
というふうに思っております。
introducing. So we would like to refer to that as well. Thank you very much indeed.
Well, thank you very much, everyone, for your very open and straightforward comments. And I think that we could continue this discussion for many more hours because there are so many themes. I'm sorry that our time is running out. So I would like to close this session for today. But thank you very much for your participation and for your comments. ありがとうございました。
Thank you very much. ありがとうございました。Now let's take a commemorative photo together. So please gather in the middle of the stage. Oh, let's take a photo. Okay, that concludes the photo session. Let's give a big round of applause to the all panelists and moderator. Thank you very much. Thank you. That was session 3. Now we'd like to take a break. Session 4 will start at 2:40 p.m. So 10 minutes break. And for the leaders who will be on the stage for session 4, please gather to the briefing room. Your liaison will guide you to there. And coffee and drinks are served in the lobby, so please help yourselves. Session 4 will start from 2:40.